Friends, good evening or afternoon or good day, depending on what time you're watching us. We are on live right now, another edition of Live at Night. Maybe this is live kind of in the evening. Soccer Talk. I'm Alex Parra. It's great to be with all of you, and happy 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of this country. We will definitely talk about that. It's an important topic. It's what's brought us here together. And it's something to celebrate, regardless of what you may think. And I talk about this all the time. It's easy to criticize, but I can tell you from personal experience, and maybe my co-host will agree with me this evening, this is the best country on the planet, especially when you've lived and you've traveled to other countries. And best and worst, I know that's relative. I know at the end of the day, we're all humans, but we should be very appreciative that we're living in this century in this country. So there you go. If it's patriotism, I don't mind going out on the patriotic gangplank, if you will. So I'm all in for that. A lot to talk about, including introduction of my little friend over here, Tricolor. This is the official match ball of the 1998 World Cup, held in France. I have to say France, not France. Viva la France. Won by the French, by the way. Brazil, second place. Croatia and Netherlands in third and fourth place, respectively. So that's kind of the homework. Eventually, I think, and we'll take a vote maybe today, if we'll give away some of these balls to some of you that have been loyal listeners, followers. We really appreciate it, and maybe we'll send you a couple of these. But enough about Alex Parra. Why don't we bring in the big guns? And we're going to ask them how they're enjoying their 4th of July. Do you see them? No, now you see them. There they are, smiling. One of them smiling. One of them has a wonderful face. The other one, we can't help much. Today, I'm going to bypass the center square and go way out there and bring in, not Professor, just Mr. Senor Victor Araiza. Victor, good day, good evening. How are you, sir? And happy 4th of July. Oh, we don't hear him. Maybe that's why.
I said I'm getting older by the episode. It's Senor now.
It is. How are you,
plus,
Victor?
I don't know if that's if you're in the spirit of America calling us fat. Big guns.
That's I'm in this country you also eat a lot.
Hitting all the stereotypes there.
Today it's okay. Today it's okay to do that. Victor, how are you enjoying your 4th of July? Is this an important holiday for you, Victor? Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, I too am proud to be an American. I don't know if I'm the co-host you were referring to. Although
well, you're like the junior co-host, because what's his name gets all the credit. Yes, you are. We're all equal in this show. Please, Victor, for better or worse.
Yeah, no, obviously, and it's obviously a landmark 4th of July, but it's always one of my favorite holidays because it's also my birthday month, so I'm kind of piggybacks off nicely there.
Wow.
Two holidays.
You look great for 65. You really do. You look amazing.
Yeah, well, that's I won't give away the secret.
Yeah, he's the baby.
But
of the
obviously
group,
obviously this year we had a special 4th of July with a World Cup soccer match, and the one that kind of capped it off here for us in Houston. And a presentation there for 4th of July that was broadcasted all over the world. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have thought of a better way to kick it off, and obviously we'll hit the hamburgers and hot dogs here shortly, and obviously we did this early so we can go hit the fireworks as well.
Well, let's hope the fireworks don't hit us. I'll tell you a story about my experience with fireworks in the future. Victor, it's great to see you, and thank you for being with us. Now we have to go to the center square, contractually Emmy Award winning, the voice of. We welcome in Don Enrique Vasquez. Sorry, I have to read the script, Enrique. Enrique, how are you? And happy 4th of July to you, sir.
No, yeah, happy 4th of July to you guys, and what a blessing it is to have grown up basically in this country like Victor, like you, or really like you, Alex. So I was born in Mexico, and it's just to think of that I with my family and have been able to make a life and a career here in this country, and really for the most part for me. when you talk about how great this country is, I made a career of talking sports in Spanish in the United States of America. I mean,
Maybe
what
not a
other
good,
country?
maybe not a good career, but a career.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Whether good
Career
or bad,
nonetheless.
I keep them fooled. I keep them fooled long enough, and you know, when you talk about the opportunities that this country has afforded me and my family in my lifetime, it's
Yeah.
just, you know, I can't be more appreciative. And what other country would have allowed that? I mean, I can't imagine that. And then today, a good buddy of mine, actually my color commentator on the Texans, he got all emotional because he got his credential approval to go to Mexico to go to Mexico tomorrow and cover what he referred to as the most important game in the history of Mexican soccer,
That's great.
because of a company here in the U.S. that has hired him. He's been covering the World Cup so far, and that opportunity was afforded to him here in the United States to go cover Mexico tomorrow in England. So again,
Is this Gustavo?
Gustavo, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He posted the video this afternoon, and he literally, you know, he got emotional. I mean, he started crying, and he's not that type of guy that would go to tears. But I mean, obviously, it means a lot to him. But for all of us immigrants, you know, living in this country, we have to appreciate what this country has done for us. Obviously, we have to put in the work, but these are opportunities that aren't afforded to many people around the world. And you have to say, yes, America is the United States of America is the best country in the world.
You know, Enrique, and I agree with all of that. And congratulations to Gustavo Rangel, who's an amazing sportscaster, broadcaster, and good for him. And you know what? Good for us, Enrique. It's one of us, one of ours, if you will, having that opportunity. I will say something, though, Enrique. You're right. I was born in Mexico. I came here when I was 9, 10 years old. The records don't indicate the details. But my point is, when I now look, Enrique, at telling others about myself, and I happen to do that a lot because I've got a big ego. I no longer refer to myself as, hey, I'm Mexican or I'm Mexican American. You know, I've been in Texas, Enrique, since the mid '80s. I've been living in Houston since then. I'm a Houstonian. This is where my children were born. All three that I know of. And the important thing is, I'm kidding about that, by the way. I hope nobody send letters, please. It is important, Enrique, to recognize that, you know, it's no longer, immigrants at times maybe have felt like outsiders. When you're here now decades and generations, I think that goes away, Enrique, regardless of what we may think is our roots. And as we've discussed here with the sport of soccer, you don't have to lose one to gain one. We don't have to lose our Mexican heritage to gain and also be a contributing part of what Houston is today, of what Texas is today. I think all three of us feel that. Maybe generationally, Victor, you're at a different time. But this is kind of a great opportunity, Enrique, that could only be afforded in a country like this. I don't know if you agree with that. I mean, immigrants, yes, but we're also continuing to build the current and future identity of this country.
Yeah, and I think that all these visitors that we've had here over the last month have again opened our eyes to, you know, the privilege that we have and you know how great it is here. You know, I think, you know, we've listened. Shame on us, and I said this early on when we started talking in the first couple of days of the tournament when we saw these videos online. Is like, shame on us that we believed that this was a country that wasn't going to be nice or welcoming to visitors, to tourists. And that it wasn't going to be what it was being billed as being, you know, just a bad experience for the world to come see, that everybody hated America, and all of a sudden everybody shows up, and everybody that's coming here for the first time is showing us again, hey, look at this, look how nice you guys have it here, appreciate it, enjoy it, and now that hopefully that has turned you know, minds here in the States about, you know, my everyday life is not filled with racist people. My everyday life is not filled with bad experiences with my neighbor or with people of a different race or different color skin. That's not how we live really here. Yeah, there's assholes somewhere. You can't get rid of them. That's just life. But for the most part, we do get along. We are nice to each other, and now we're seeing it. And I think coming at this 250th anniversary is a good time. That the world is seeing it, that we are seeing it ourselves, and that we're going to come out of this World Cup in a pretty good mind space.
I agree with that. Victor, do you agree with that? You're a slightly different generation. You're younger than us by a year or two. And how do you see this cultural movement? I think that just continues to evolve. And like Enrique said, to me, I live in English and Spanish. I live in two cultures which have become one culture every day. I think all of us use our both languages every single day, and interactions with people from all over the world almost every single day here in Houston. I see that as a good thing. Victor, I don't know if you share kind of that same cultural outlook.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I'll also try to, not completely forget my roots. I think you want to have a balance. And certainly, with Mexico and the United States, I mean, your cultures kind of intertwined, anyways, and everything's so close together. But I mean, absolutely, I've had nothing but a good experience. I mean, every time we get some of these problems on the news or whatever it may be, it's hard for me to relate because I've never really felt racism or felt, to a large degree or something, or any other type of
discrimination,
roadblocks or just any type of a road bump to success. I think all the contrary. It's been, opportunity is what you make of it. And I mean, again, it's probably, and I can't speak to the entire world, obviously, but I always obviously think that it is a land of opportunity. I mean, you can make basically. I mean, come on, like Enrique just said. I mean, I just thought about it now too. Just not that I don't think about it regularly, but it just kind of hit home also. I mean, I'm making a living as a soccer journalist, and I think that's
allegedly.
I don't know, 10 years ago. Well, however it's happening, I think maybe like 10, 15 years ago when I started this career, I didn't really, and especially with the way, I mean, now it's evolving maybe a little more, and we'll see where it goes after this World Cup. But certainly, I think in a country that's basically heavily NFL, MLB, and NBA, even maybe hockey in the English sports scene. Again, to be covering soccer here for all these years and obviously be able to be privileged to be covering a World Cup here in the United States. I mean, that's you can't put it any better.
And where else?
And that's obviously, well, and I'm going to say, I mean, and it's happened here, and I'm always going to be thankful that it happened here.
We have a lot to celebrate, and days like today, 250th anniversary of this country. Maybe we weren't thought of it that way 250 years ago, but I think and it's not just we, Mexican Americans, Latinos, it's we, so many people are making this, I think, a better country and celebrating soccer. So it really is something that we should celebrate, and I think we're very lucky to have this opportunity in this moment. So thanks to all of you that are following today more than any day. Today's what day, by the way? Saturday, Enrique Vasquez? Today's a Saturday?
Saturday.
Right, Saturday. And I'm going to hit you here with the number, our 24th day consecutive of World Cup coverage. So we appreciate all of you that have been following us. You, Enrique, are doing a great job. Thank you. Victor in the trenches, Katie Omaña, also Grant, so many people that are contributing to this. Hopefully it continues to grow, and we want your participation. You're itching to say
Alex,
something, Enrique.
What kind of American are you? It's Saturday. I think it's the 4th of July. Remember
and
the
I'm making all of you work?
No. Remember the song?
I'm proud to be in. Is that one?
No. Saturday. I think it's
in the park. Chicago song, right?
Yes. Come on, Alex.
Okay, all right.
Apparently, it's the last Saturday for another. The last 4th of July Saturday for a while. So
for a while.
Enjoy it.
Huh?
Yeah.
We are enjoying it. A lot to talk about today. Well, let's get right to it, gentlemen. And Victor, if there's comments, questions, please let us know. We're all grateful to be here. Today's matches on the 4th of July. Now, it would have been amazing to have the United States playing. I think that would have just added to the drama.
No, it wouldn't.
Well, hold on. You're right. Depending on, no, they probably wouldn't have won. Victor, Houston Stadium, Morocco 3-0. Let's talk a little bit about that to start. And we just watched France duke it out almost with Paraguay, who really we're never, in my opinion, there competitively, but we'll talk about the tactics that were used. But Victor, I'll start with you. Morocco, Canada today. The end of a run for Canada. I think many of us expected this. Morocco, a solid team that I think are continuing to build.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the expected result. I think everything, at least I talked about yesterday, was trying to be hopeful. How could Canada win this? But ultimately, on paper, Morocco's the better team. They got the better talent. They obviously got the better resume. We mentioned a fourth place finish in the last World Cup. But you thought maybe because they're in North America, potentially in Houston with a lot of Canadians, being able to come here, and on top of that, the transplants that are here, a couple of the Houston Dash players, for example, were down there for the Canadian national team, and could they make a run at this? I think it was even there for a bit, but Canada could never really find a goal. I think there was chances where they looked promising, but ultimately, I mean they just didn't have it. Alphonso Davies never played. I know he spoke to media afterwards, and he was actually the first player that came out in the mix zone. That's not counting Eustachio and Alistair Johnson, who come out. There's like a podium in the mix zone that those are the guys that speak first for both teams, and then the guys come out to the mix zone. Alphonso Davies came out. He addressed the media. He talked about he wasn't 100%. He didn't. He spoke to the coach about this, and I think that would have been the only real X factor. And maybe Marsh was probably thinking, if I'm at a point where this is even, and we can go to him, but otherwise, if it's not there for the taking, then maybe we just don't risk him. And ultimately, again, Canada feels bittersweet. I would say more bitter than sweet, because again, I think they probably had a better shot at this than the performance they ended up giving today, especially in the second half. But it's still going to go down as their best ever finish, and it's still set the bar high for the following World Cups, and we'll see if they can build on this, because I think that's going to be the hardest part, keeping the ascent going.
We can now, Enrique Vasquez, talk about looking in the rearview mirror to the 7 matches that were held here in Houston. I know it's still early, less than 24 hours after the conclusion of this last 7th match. Any reflections yet on, and we've discussed this the last couple of evenings, on what this means and where this puts Houston relative to international soccer? And we're now having that conversation. Houston has hosted. It's been well organized. It's been safe. All the superlatives you can think of so far. Not only so far, because it's now done, it was great.
No, yeah, absolutely. Congratulations, to all of the people that worked in the building to make this happen. And, we're fortunate enough to work with some of those people that were crucial, integral in making the match day experience, exceptional. I think everybody that showed up at the building had a good time. Getting in and out was worked out. By the end, it was no issue. Unfortunately, sort of a dud of a game to finish things out here in Houston. I would have hoped that we would have had something more, a climactic ending or something, a great finish like maybe we had last night. Maybe that's too much to expect, like with the Argentina game. But other than that, I mean, I think, once again, Houston shows up and shows out in the regard that it's a big time city for big time sporting events here at Houston Stadium, and now you grow to because this will now not be the last big time match here in Houston. If we move forward and we have Copa Americas that are coming this way again, I'm sure the building is going to be in line to host more big time matches. Friendly matches are always going to be here. Mexico always has a following here as well. Hopefully we also get to the point where the U.S. men's national team can create this kind of buzz wherever they go, as opposed to other than that Mexico game early on. How often have we seen them here in a solo match, a solo friendly where they could get this type of crowd. Maybe now it'll be that case moving
when they face
forward.
Mexico.
Yeah, other than when they face Mexico, where they can come here without being afraid that they're going to be shown up by the opposing crowd. That's why they haven't come here before, quite honestly. So now, we see those huge crowds for them on the West Coast or up north. Hopefully now that Houston can be that type of a destination for the U.S. national team, so we can see them. So again, I think Houston has shown that the soccer crowd is here, the soccer fans are here, and they'll show up for big time events. But again, congratulations to everybody who had a hand in showing up and working these long days, knowing that the pressure was on to perform, for them and what we do and put on shows here in the building, and they did a great job over the last month.
And they not only at the stadium. I reflect back on this, Victor, a little bit. 2 years ago, when this was announced, or even earlier, that we would be hosting, it was really a coordination of many efforts, from transportation to safety and security to logistics to communications, etc. A pluses, I think, all around, and it's not shocking or surprising maybe to many, but Houston is now on the map. Where do we go from here? And maybe tonight we won't have a long conversation about the legacy, but what are some points now that we can start putting in place to what this means about the sport itself in Houston? Victor, and even what we're seeing now with the local teams kind of recognizing, hey, we need to use this, viewing parties. We need to use this, the interest from the media. We need to use this, the interest from the casual fan, to continue to build. Is that maybe a way this is progressing, continuing to build on this?
I would hope so, because again, I don't know how much of a bump you're going to get from a future event until the World Cup comes back again. I mean, again, we talked about this. There's nothing like the World Cup and everything that it brings. And we're seeing it, all the emotions that it brings, the way they grabs casuals. There was people yesterday that might have been tuning in the first time, watching Argentina in Cabo Verde, and thinking, man, and getting hooked on the sport, right? Because that's what the sport does. It's certainly in World Cups. It hooks you in. And then, it's kind of like, okay, well, how do you maintain that connection? And that's where we can, rally behind the local club, or, I'm sure we'll see some MLS teams go after some of these players from this World Cup, from several national teams, even the ones that didn't participate. Chicago Fire already got Robert Lewandowski. But I'm sure there'll be more. There's talks of Casemiro joining Inter Miami. I'm sure there'll be more like that to come, and we'll see. I still think that's kind of what's needed, and it's not an automatic fix. And obviously, we had Hector Herrera for the last World Cup cycle, and part of it, and that's where I think there's still some additional work. It's not just buying a player, but I still think. James Rodriguez from Colombia, or I don't know if it's necessarily time for Raúl Jiménez, because I think he's staying put in England. But I think there's ways you can connect, or just build on the communities that are already here. Especially Houston's lucky that it's so international. You can pick from any corner of the planet. I'd like to see maybe the fastest answer is. Hopefully we get to see teams like Brazil, the Netherlands, Portugal, even. I mean, all these teams that we don't really see on the regular, because usually it's obviously Mexico on the rotation. Even the U.S., as Enrique mentioned, our own home country doesn't really visit Houston, Texas that often. But I think some of these other nations, Argentina, whoever. I mean, I think you can bring them to Houston, Texas. Put them for a friendly, and those are the kind of events that would get more attendances, especially if they're here. But I don't know if we necessarily put that much of an effort to make these events, obviously, because a lot of that's on Lone Star Sports Entertainment. They do the Texans year round. They also got other events like the college bowl games, or just the college games, right? The start of season, end of the season. But I mean, I think certainly, and also at the club level. Maybe it doesn't have to be, 3-5 years in between from when we see Real Madrid or Manchester United or
Yeah.
Bayern Munich. Maybe this will convince the powers that be to do these kinds of events more often.
And you know what? Maybe also the solution that they finally found for the field, for the pitch, will be more attractive now to host big time events here in the building, because obviously before, for a while, that was one of the bigger issues, right? I remember there I was on the field. Who was it going to play? It was a European team. Was it Inter or somebody who was going to play Chivas or somebody? And the game was really, quite honestly, almost canceled because
Yeah,
the field was
I
just in
think it was
terrible.
AC Milan.
AC Milan,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
AC
was an
Milan.
Italian team. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the pitch
because I
was
remember,
horrible. And
I remember walking down the tunnel. It was actually right after Bill O'Brien had arrived here with the Texans, and he was we were right there next to the field,
it was
and I
his
asked
fault.
him.
Another thing that
No,
he
I
screwed up.
asked him point
Blame
blank.
him.
He's like, "Hey, would you let your boys on this field?" And he's like, "I don't know." It was in bad shape. It was in bad
Yeah.
shape. So now that the field is not an issue, and for everything that we've heard, well, nobody's heard that has not been an issue. So maybe that will help. Other teams come in and not worried about what the conditions of the field are going to be, and that's going to help the building as well.
As we take in and celebrate the 4th of July, friends, thanks to all you that are following us. We appreciate you taking time from your Saturday. Hopefully, either you're on your way or will continue your celebrations. We're talking a little bit about the World Cup and really kind of the conclusion of the matches we saw here in Houston. Victor, you were there for all of them, physically present. You saw the organization competitively. I think we saw some really big teams. Deutschland were here, Netherlands were here, Brazil were here. That Brazil-Japan match was really a build-up. Seeing the Dutch caravan and the fans dressed in orange, things maybe we'd never seen before. Seeing the Japanese fans. Mesmerized by Houston, the heat, and the policemen on horses, just the different cultures, but it all coming together beautifully. Even Freddie, who apparently has disappeared now from social media, landing here and sharing his or their, or whatever Freddie is or isn't, their perspective on Houston and on Texas. But let's talk competitively. We had some good soccer matches.
Yeah, again, I think we got a good mix. We got a variety again that we don't really get in Houston because it's, like I said, it's mainly Mexico, which is not a bad thing. But I think again, we don't usually get to see Germany or the Netherlands, Sweden, Portugal, even Congo, Brazil, Japan, Canada. I think we've seen here on some occasions. Cabo Verde and Saudi Arabia was competitive when that one even wasn't probably expected to be as good of a matchup, right? And so I think again, I think we got a really good stack of matches here. I think anyone you attended, you probably walked away feeling that excitement of a World Cup. If you were strictly there for goals, you were probably disappointed in that one matchup that didn't have any. But even then, I think it had the storyline of Cabo Verde and the goalkeeper Bociña. So again, hopefully we get to see some of these nations come around more often. I think again we have a big Brazil population here. I think if we had Brazil or Argentina around more often, even the Dutch, there's a lot of trade here with the Dutch, Germany. I think these are giants in the sport, but obviously I think this actually was, if I'm correct, the first time we've seen them play in Houston, Texas, and that's kind of for 20 years or whatever it's been that we've had Reliance Stadium. That's what I hope it does. That it links us a little bit closer to some of these nations. I know it's hard now because the schedule is more congested, especially with the European Nations League, where they don't really have a lot of space for friendlies. But I'm sure they'll come up with some, money grab tournament for summer or something, and maybe that's how we can bring them down here.
Yeah, and in the end, you mentioned the goal scoring. Houston's going to end up as one of the top, venues for goal scored, right? Add the 3 today, it's up to what, about 25 goals for the whole run of 7 games. So I think people were entertained. They came to matches here in Houston, and then just follow up on the experience. I got to call the Astros series, which was starting on the Monday right after the Curaçao Germany game, and seeing Curaçao fans at Astros games with the flags waving, again, just to present to everybody. We're not just we're not just one thing. The variety of sports and experience that you can have here in Houston was good to see for everybody that came to town for the first time, that they could experience and see the multicultural nature that Houston has, and how everybody was welcome and had a good time.
What was interesting from a mainstream, and I think that term has changed certainly in Houston, Victor and Enrique, is that mainstream saw several things. Number one, that people will turn out locally and from abroad, and that soccer has its appeal. And maybe I think all three of us have been aware of this literally for decades. But mainstream, whatever that is, because that's also changing, woke up to it. And now I'm seeing everybody wanting to have a piece of it from a marketing point of view, from a financial and commercialism point of view. Nothing wrong with that, but it's like, wow, we just discovered this. I think in many ways, Enrique, I'll start with you. That's what big events like this do. They make it okay to want to love something new, which really isn't new here because we've had it for a while. But for the maybe casual fan, the casual company that says, why didn't I invest in this? By the way, I'm a little surprised, Enrique, and someone can slap me about this. Mattress Mac didn't roll a ball and jump around about soccer. It kind of surprised me. Maybe his marketing people didn't give him the right advice there, or not. Maybe I'm missing that, but I didn't see save you money, I'm betting on Portugal. I didn't see any of that. Was that a missed opportunity to some? And now, hey, let's jump on the bandwagon, Enrique. Is that part of what we see now as the legacy?
Oh yeah, well, hopefully all these people like you mentioned that were on the margin, and maybe early on those people that sort of missed the boat because they were never there, right? They didn't see it coming. They just assumed everybody's going to show up. No, you have to open up the door and say, hey, come on in, we're here.
Yeah.
You're welcomed here, and everybody downtown that maybe complained early on that the crowds weren't showing up. Well, I mean, you have to make the effort too. So hopefully they learn from this, and now we can keep growing, and whatever the next big time tournament that comes to town, that's where we see more growth, and that's obviously only going to help everything.
Victor, do we revert back to, hey, that's a foreigner sport? Do we revert back to, hey, that was nice, that was cute? Or do you think this really has momentum? I don't know how else to ask that. Will there be increased numbers for the Dynamo, for the Dash? Will there be more commercials focusing on soccer? Will traditional English language sports shows now actually talk more soccer on a regular basis? Does that change that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a loaded question. I
Yes,
think,
it is.
No, I mean, I think that there is momentum, right? I don't think it's going completely back in the drawer. I think there's people that probably will go back to their daily lives, and maybe they won't keep up with soccer as often, but I think they now know what it is. But the rest of it, I think the sport continues to move forward, especially in this country. Now, again, we've seen it. MLS and NWSL are a separate story, and I think it probably will bring an influx of people in, because I think there'll naturally be people that will say, well, what's the nearest soccer game we can go to, or is there a pro soccer team in town, that kind of thing, and try it once. And I think that's the key right there, is can you retain people? Can you convince them to continue to be a supporter of the Dynamo and Dash, or whether it's any other city, Austin FC, Dallas, any other place in MLS? That's where they kind of have to put in the work there. But otherwise, I mean, I think, yeah, it's absolutely here to stay, and I think it's an eye opener, at least for some of the mainstream. It's an eye opener for me too, to kind of find out that there's more people. I was talking specifically reporters that have knowledge of the game, that have gone to World Cups as fans, that I probably didn't even know of, and that sort of stuff has kind of come to the surface now here, that they've had a chance to sort of display their soccer pride. So we know this at some stations, right? I think some of these outlets could do more soccer coverage if there was a directive to do it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that's going to change, and we'll see. We'll see. There's some post World Cup stories about what's the impact, all that stuff.
Well, let me give you one little tidbit, and I don't have the actual numbers. I'm trying to see if we can actually get them, but I was talking to my sources, I'll call it that way, at Fox 26, and they were overjoyed with the ratings of what the World Cup has done to the Houston market. And as you know, these are some of the best watched matches ever for certain teams. So I do not doubt that with this ammunition, meaning the salespeople going out there and saying, "Look at the numbers for the World Cup for soccer," that's going to open up, Enrique, a lot of eyes. This is the way the world works. It's a business, and when X company says, "Man, I didn't buy that." Now I bet you there's a lawyer or a CEO that's making that call to someone to say, "Marketing people,
there's a lot
why
of
didn't you do
billboards
it?"
around town right now where they got a soccer ball, they got a lawyer with. Well, there are several lawyers with soccer balls all around the billboards in this town.
Yeah.
And we'd be happy to have
notice.
them advertise with us as well. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that that's on the English side as well, because I mean, I think we all knew Telemundo was going to just kill it on the ratings on the Spanish side, but on the English side, knowing that Fox is having success, good for them, and good for the good job that they've done, covering the games as well. I've sort of mixed in and out. I've changed switch at halftime to watch both broadcasts. I've been fortunate enough to also have access and be able to watch broadcasts out of Mexico. A couple get broadcast out of the BBC, and let me tell you, it's true. Those guys may run 30, 40 seconds without saying a word, and I saw that I can't keep it there very long, so I switch it back over. So I got to get a little bit fired up with a call, but I think bottom line though, the fact of the matter is that they have to be proactive about it on the soccer side, whether it's a local coverage of it on the sports side, radio or TV, businesses as well. The team has to be proactive. When you look at the Astros and know that they have a giveaway for every home game. They gave an additional perk to everybody to come out to an Astros game. These are two-time world champions. Everybody loves the Astros, but they're still proactive in that way to welcome fans on a nightly basis to come to their games. I don't know, are the Dynamo that way as well? Is there an effort, a direct effort to reach out to the fans to bring them, especially when you have a stadium that's quite empty for some matches? That's unfortunate, but the fans are there. It's clear that the fans are there, but you have to make a concerted effort, Alex, to reach out to them and to bring them, to pull them, to drag them into the building for whatever reason. Is it for the bobblehead? Is it for the whatever? Give them an additional reason to get out there in the heat and come to the games. They will come.
And we are seeing that already. The upcoming tomorrow, the Noche de Mexico celebration at Shell Energy is going to include a Dynamo 2 match played before the Mexico versus England match. That's the kind of coming together, right, Enrique, and using that opportunity. And we've talked about this in the past with Victor. Maybe, Victor, what we need now is what other markets are doing, which is, hey, this next match of MLS or NWSL is on us. Come into the building, come see what this is all about, and let's celebrate this sport together. I think the powers that be are starting. Maybe they've already seen this, but they're activating on this, Victor. Is that a way to present it?
Yeah, well, and I think anybody will try it once, but the key is to get them to come back again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they did in the old days. Actually, going back to Mattress Mac, because I'll give him an out on this one.
Thank you.
In the Robertson days, Mattress Gallery Furniture was one of the sponsors of the Houston Dynamo. So was McDonald's. Obviously, back then the airlines was Continental, but these big brands in Houston was backing soccer in the early days of the Dynamo. So I think obviously that changed over the years, and is a change of personnel, what have you. But I think, and listen, the stadium has Shell on the sign. So, I mean, and I think there's even Chevron in there somewhere. But I think the big brands will back soccer. They do it all over the world. We just got to get them to do it here in Houston also. And maybe that'll, if that's what it's needed to help subsidize some of the signings, get some, cover some of the salaries. But yeah, I mean, if this Mexico watch, what these watch parties are telling you is, because I've told you for years, I don't buy this excuse, this cheap excuse about the heat, about no roof. I think cold beer and a nice experience at the stadium,
Is enough.
and
Yeah.
I think people will be there. People will, because it happens all over the world. Where they play soccer as a primary sport. People show up. They withstand the heat. They'll withstand the cold. They'll withstand whatever because they have a connection to their team. We just
Right.
got to build that connection here in Houston, Texas.
And part of that connection, Enrique Vasquez, is knowing the players. And I'm going to say this with kindness, with love, and maybe with a bit of ignorance. But there were years where the Houston Dynamo, you didn't know who their top player was, either with scoring, whether with defending, with their goalkeeper. And in many ways, it was because the message just wasn't getting out there, Enrique. You and I, who have been following the team, and now I'm blessed to be the English language voice of the team, at times, even being around sports, it's like, well, who's playing? Who's on the team now? Is that part of the job of any organization, Enrique, to get the word out about their strengths, about marketing their players, getting them involved in the community?
Well, and I'm gonna put it this way, Alex Parra. I've been fortunate enough to work on the Houston Texans Spanish radio broadcast since the beginning of 2002. But let me tell you that how it should be in the city of Houston is that the Houston Dynamo should have the best Spanish broadcast in town by backing their broadcast. And I'm not saying that Don Mejia does not do a good job. No, he does a great job, but the franchise has got to get behind him. They have to support him. They have to give him the resources. They have to let him travel to all the matches, have him in the stadium, have him support him, let him do his job correctly, like that Daniel knows how to do. But the franchise has to get behind him. They have to pay him a good salary and take care of him. The Dynamo should have the best Spanish broadcast in town. And up until now, I'm sorry, but they don't. They haven't got behind him, and the results are there. So the fans are there, the fans are there, the listeners are there, but they have to get behind him, and they haven't. They missed a big opportunity to connect with the Hispanic market through that route. They just haven't done it, and they need to get behind him. That would be a good starting place right there if you really want to connect with a Hispanic fan.
Victor, why hasn't that happened? Because we didn't have previously a World Cup that demonstrated. Well, it's a financial
cutting costs.
Right. And by the way, I think if we're fair and objective, that legacy didn't start or end with Mr. Ted Siegel's ownership, but it happened. This has been happening for the 22 years, right?
Yeah.
The team's been around.
It has. It probably didn't start with Ted Siegel, but it certainly has been maintained under Ted Siegel because I think, and listen, maybe they just don't know any other way because that's the way that's been accepted. That's the way things have been. This is how much we spend on broadcasting, and we're not, or this is the marketing budget, or this is, whatever it is. But I agree. I think you have to put some money behind some of this as well. It's not just players on the field. And listen, we can dissect how that money's been spent as well. But I think, additional resources to all this stuff would be tremendous. It would help. I mean, not just the broadcast side of it, not just promoting. You have one. There's times when TUDN, for example, has to shift around their schedule because they also have the Astros and the Texans. So maybe it's not on TUDN radio. Maybe it's on, or it is, but it's on a sister station. They got to be on top of all those little details, right? Little things like that. Again, in the older days, because this is actually, you guys could speak to this standard across all the other sports in English and Spanish. There's no weekly programming here for the Houston Dynamo. There's no magazine shows. There's nothing during the week that keeps you up to date. Yeah. There's no collaboration with local radio or local. Well, local TV does a little bit better job now, and I think especially the two Hispanic stations of daily updates, that kind of stuff. That I'll give them. The local radio. I mean, the conversation, all that stuff that the Astros, the Texans, the Rockets have on a daily basis. Maybe they might not make up the gap because again, those other sports have years behind them. But there's got to be a push to try to get that. And I'll add to it again, just like Enrique said, when you got world champions like the Houston Astros, and you see their players are available even after their championship parade. I mean, that's why I think you got to at least match those kinds of efforts. When you talk about community efforts, you just saw the Astros the other day. they had a drive, a collection drive for supplies for Venezuela, and
Yeah.
their Venezuelan superstar Jose Altuve was right there, smack dab in the middle of it. And that, I mean, those are the little things, right, that add up. And I know they're big efforts, but every little bit counts. And I think that's kind of where, again, I say maybe it just comes down to money, to resources. That's maybe where the Dynamo and Dash. Again, I don't know how much they have compared to the Astros and the Texans and the Rockets, but I think putting money to all on
Now,
all these fronts is a way to make up for the difference.
now, look, Victor, Enrique and I go back in this market for decades, and Enrique, I'm not going to disagree with you about getting behind any of the Spanish language broadcasts for any professional team. The reality at times has been
Get behind the English one too.
Yeah, please get behind the English. The reality has been, from a sales point of view, Enrique, that it hasn't sold. But we've asked ourselves why. Is it because the people that are selling it don't know how to sell it and who to approach? Possibly. Or the market didn't exist because, and I'm going to be very honest and almost maybe upset a couple of people here, Enrique, and I'm not going to name any specific team. The executive making the decision about the Spanish language broadcast is getting with another agency who either don't know the sport, don't know the Spanish market, and don't connect on it. It's not even a conversation. To be honest, Enrique, if we're very honest tonight, and we'll talk a little bit more about Paraguay, France as well, it's an afterthought because no one knows what it is. It's always been considered something to check a box. It's always been considered something that, okay, it's there because I don't want to get sued. But we've never had Latina executives saying, no, we can make this better. Let's push our broadcasters. Let's push this to be something that it isn't. Enrique, Victor, you a guy and I know both that often it's a trade of services for all the teams, even with the big brands like Tu DN. They're just saying, look, just put it on there whenever you can, please. Let's not worry about whether it sells or not. Let's just check a box. That mentality, Enrique and Victor, has to change. Otherwise, Enrique, it's another missed opportunity. And I don't know how else to say it. And maybe I'm completely wrong. But Enrique, you've lived this too.
Yeah, but the difference is with the Dynamo is that they need it. They completely need it. You know, the Texans, they'll be fine if they don't have a Spanish broadcast tomorrow. That's the reality of it. They're going to sell at the stadium. They're going to get their billions of dollars from TV rights, and they're going to be just fine. So this is really on the Dynamo if they want to at some point consider themselves at the same level of the major sports chain in the United States. They have to grow, and then one of their major targets has to be the Spanish market. So they're in a different boat, Alex. But where maybe the Texans or the Astros, the Rockets even sell their Spanish radio as just an add-on to current sponsors. The Dynamo have to go out and be ahead of the game. Again, I go back to the same thing. They have to be the leaders in the Spanish broadcast to reach out to those fans, and they just simply have missed out on the boat. The broadcast is there, yes, but they are not backed like they should be with all the resources that they need to make it the best presentation in Houston, and they just haven't done it.
I'll add to that, and maybe try to save your job here a little bit. You're right. I think the perception is these leagues, like the NFL, Major League Baseball, they're too big to fail, right? They probably don't need it. But I think that's the difference, though. You see, even them, the mentality is, no, right, we have to do this anyways. I just saw the football there, on your shelf. Mega 101, because that's a big reach. That's an FM station. No, they're like, we're going to make it a point to put this on Spanish because we want that market and we want to grow in that market. And for whatever, whether it works completely all at once or whether it's a growing process, but we're going to make an effort to do this. And I think, again, you're starting to see this across all the leagues and internationally, too. It's not just here locally. Little by little, the Texans have been growing the supporters group in Mexico. And obviously now with the NFL going all over the place, obviously the numbers are only getting larger. So, it's not just Cowboys fans. That'll always be there traditionally, but I think they're certainly growing or have grown their footprint across Mexico. So, and I think that's where I go back to the Dynamo, and I've done this over the years. To me, it's almost like you got to have three plans, if that's the case. One, to conquer, because it is the world sport. One, you got to conquer locally. One, you got to conquer nationally, and one, you got to conquer internationally. And I don't know if they even think that way. To And again, we can go on for days about this stuff, but I just think, and especially trying to help. We'll talk about Tudeni here a little bit. Just help them grow, because that'll help you as well, because of that partnership that you already have. Yeah, and I know and this goes across against all levels of MLS. It's not just that it happens here in Houston. There's other cities that may not even have the one broadcast. There's some cities that have ended their English broadcast on radio, and all they do is have digital, and probably are hanging by a thread. But I think there's a lot that can still be done to grow the game here in the United States. That's I go back to, because I've seen the Don Garber quote out there. Well, we'll take it from here. Yeah, that sounds nice, but I mean, you really got to take it from here and run with it. It's not just saying it and because you said so, people are going to jump on board. There's got to be, I think, a real effort across the board, and
a real effort.
That's a big.
I mean, if you look at it this way, I mean, if the World Cup just didn't tee it up for MLS to take it from here.
It's a good way of putting it.
It's right there. They have to go and run with it, and hopefully they don't drop the ball like they have in reaching the Spanish market locally here with the Dynamo. That's just been the case. Obviously, with their national TV contract, has made it difficult to have that connection like we used to have. But that's how they decided to go. So we'll see how long this Apple TV contract remains how it is, capped at the amount of money that they have when their expenses keep going up, and that's their major revenue source for each franchise. So to me, that was I don't know how they thought this will be good for us 10 years from now. Alex Parra, when do you start a business and say this is the much money we're going to make for the next 10 years, and that's the only growth that we're going to have?
And you can't.
How do you plan that way?
Look, I think you're bringing up, Enrique, that the Apple TV deal certainly changed everything that's happening in local markets, right? Because everything was oriented, and it's starting to loosen up. It's starting to change and evolve. There's that word, because I think the powers that be are realizing, look, we've committed to this. And I think it's overall a good deal, Enrique, relative to where things are going. And that's what I'm talking about. And huge entities like Apple TV right now that it seems to me have the money to throw at it. You go in that direction to be safe, to have security. But now I think if you start looking at things, maybe you start carving out things and say, listen, let me have more of this. Let's evolve together. You make your money here, but also allow us to have something in the local markets. To me, that's what a reasonable person would do, unless the lawyers got involved and they said, no, you signed this, you're committed, and then what happens? This could be a reset point, Enrique, in many ways. And by the way, Victor and Enrique, we don't want Enrique to ever think about stopping the Spanish language for the Texans. We don't need to save his job. We want you there.
No, like you mentioned, they've done a good job to help us to work with us to make this grow. Like you mentioned, now we are not only listened to here in Houston, we have affiliates in Monterrey and Mexico City, so it's always grown. The Somos Texans fan base is growing. The club there, the group there in Mexico City, actually they're coming for the Bengals game week 2, I believe it is, of the season when they come to town. So last year they had over 150 fans come in from Mexico to be a part of the game, part of the trip. And then the TV show in Telemundo, our 15-minute block that's carved out is one of the top 2 rated in the market. So we're excited about that. But again, my whole point is the Dynamo should be there as well. Enrique, and they missed that boat.
Enrique, behind you, to reiterate your point, which I think is clear to many of us, behind you, not only next to your Emmy.
The Emmy?
No, not the Emmy. Always talks about the Emmy. Always about the Emmy. One of those other things you have there. Enrique, you're going on a decade, and I was blessed to be with you in season number 1, that the Oklahoma Sooners had the vision to start Spanish language broadcasts. that have continued to grow. And a decade later, Enrique, I never thought in Oklahoma and OU football in Spanish would sell. Think about that relative to Spanish language broadcast in Houston, where we have every ingredient possible.
Right.
How that cannot, not only, as you said, sustain itself, but be the lead. You know that the highest rated stations locally are Spanish language. That's where the market is. I don't think facts or opinions matter. Just look at the facts, Enrique. So if OU can do it in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and in the state of Oklahoma, the Dynamo in Spanish in Houston, again, should be a home run or a golazo, or there's no reason not to do it.
Yeah, and I think you have the blueprint there with some of the other teams that, like Enrique was saying, they have affiliates for the Texans in Spanish. The Astros have all these affiliates in English and Spanish radio. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. When are we going to talk about MLS teams doing that and saying, hey, we got to go the footprint here? I mean, they should have a syndicated broadcast down in RGV or Corpus Christi or some of these other places around Texas, and have, you know, again, be thinking that way, be thinking about like all these other clubs have, you know, winning over Dynamo fans in Mexico. I mean, they got Hector Herrera. I mean, or if they had more Mexican players, even when they had the Central American players, that again, they didn't make enough of that. That some of these guys were national team stars. When some of these nations were qualifying for World Cups. So, I mean, so there's more that can be done. And a lot of it is just, you know,
but you know
putting
what?
one foot in front of the other and setting things in motion.
Victor, but you know what's going to connect it? It's going to, and I think we speak from a little bit of experience. What's going to connect it, and that's why I'm so optimistic, is when someone looks at the ratings from this World Cup, and someone looks at the ratings from a given market, and that executive who never has been to a match before talks to the executive from the teams and say, you know what? We can all make money here. That's the connection that before I don't think existed because it hadn't been proven. Or you had people that simply didn't know the sports culture in Houston, Enrique, right? And said, okay, wait, so they're spending money, we can make money, and I get a good commission? Those are the people that decide these things, Enrique, not us, the talking voices, right?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But now hopefully this opened their eyes. Maybe 1994 was way too long ago. They were still in diapers back then and never realized it, what the potential was. You know, so now here we are. So now here we are. Where will we be a year from now? Are we going to be recording a show again and talking about a missed opportunity again, or that soccer has taken the next step here in the United States with MLS? We will see, but it's exciting to think, you know, that, you know, what could be, because obviously the potential's there. I mean, record numbers. We're going to hit 4 million, right, Victor, with attendance by the time this is over, which is going to shatter about more than 1 million. I mean, that's just crazy. That's just crazy to think that it's here.
Yeah,
and I believe
wait till
is it
the money.
2030? Is it 2038 the next time around that the U.S. can put in a bid for another World Cup? I think I saw that date the other day. I mean, if it doesn't come back by then for a third time, then somebody's crazy.
I think I saw, and I don't know if I might butcher his name here. I think it's the Joe Pompiliano or something like that. Is the guy that does like the financial stuff online. I'm sure there's a better term for that, but yeah, where he was basically kind of summing up that. You know, actually, the way this is constructed, because everybody would have had their turn all over again, right? Because the next World Cup is divided between Africa, Europe, and South America, and then after that, it's it's Asia or the Middle East with Saudi Arabia. Then essentially for that, I guess you're right. Yeah, it would be 2038.
But FIFA changes the rules all the time, gentlemen. They see money.
Well,
we may have a World Cup. We may have another men's World Cup in 2 years if they can figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
a special
I don't know
edition.
If it's gonna change that drastically, but I think that might actually be the soonest one. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's completely just a U.S. bid, which I think could obviously happen. I mean, think of the stadiums that didn't get used. The Minnesota Stadium. the one in Las Vegas, because that was built after the fact. Denver now, I think for them,
Denver, yeah.
it's brought up the conversation that what happened to us? Why didn't we put in a bid? Obviously, Chicago stayed out of it this time around. And again, you go around the country, there's other stadiums.
Could you imagine at the Superdome in New Orleans, a World Cup game? Now, because now growing grass indoors is not an issue. So all of a sudden that opens up everybody. And if you want to go to some college stadiums, I mean, could you imagine going to Ann Arbor, Michigan,
Austin,
playing one at the big house?
That's the other one. That,
you know?
Yeah.
That's a massive stadium,
yeah,
gentlemen.
Just on capacity alone,
right.
I mean, we didn't even bring in the college stadium.
On principle alone, we should do that. Enrique, let's talk a little bit more about the other match today. France finding a way to beat Paraguay. Paraguay, Enrique, to me, seemed the traditional Latino team that wanted to fight and cheat more than play soccer, and it was a shame in so many ways. And yes, someone's going to write me the nasty letter. It's not just Latino teams, but many do, because when they don't have anything to play with, they resort to trickery. Let's call it that way. That's anti-soccer. Sometimes it wins, but in this case, France prevailed. The better team won. I think justice was done.
Yeah, and you see the class in Mbappe, right? He wasn't going to fall into that. He sat there and just in their face and smiled back at him. He didn't fall into the trap. And then you had to go dig into the stat sheets to see, Paraguay did have a shot on goal for the whole game. That's what it came down to. France was a better team. Maybe they didn't, push it through with another 2 or 3 goals. But they're the better team. Mbappe is, at another level, and he played it smart. So hopefully now after today's results, my question for you guys is going to be, will Mexico, who's more likely, or will it happen? Will another host fall on their face like Canada did today and just have a poor showing where they get just swept off the field 3-0 like they lost today? Is it going to happen? I don't see that happening with Mexico or the United States. They may lose, but I don't know that they get just dominated off the pitch like Canada was today.
Victor, you can take that one as we look at the bracket thus far already.
I don't think, and we talked about Canada losing their home field because they finished second in their group, but also, I mean, Canada is, again, they have Alphonso Davies and they have a couple other guys, Jonathan David. I think they're still a little behind, the U.S. and Mexico. Obviously, they made some bigger strides here in the last couple of years, and that's why we'll see if they continue this. Like Morocco, because Morocco has a lot of players that weren't born in Morocco, right? France, Netherlands, Spain. The goalie was actually born in Montreal, even though he grew up in Morocco. But I'm saying we'll see if Canada brings in more dual nationals, because that's also part of the game now in international soccer. What's going to happen with the federation as far as their financials? But yeah, I think they might even be lucky they got this far, because they didn't get Korea in the round of 32, South Korea. So, but the U.S. I think is kind of stacked with talent. Mexico has their own talent, but maybe and the U.S. has some home support, especially for this World Cup. But I think Mexico's is obviously just on a different level, because traditionally it's the primary sport. And we'll see what happens tomorrow, and then what happens going forward if they do advance, and if if not having the Azteca is going to start to basically be a factor. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens tomorrow to kind of completely answer that question. But no, I don't think it'll be completely run off the field unless England just have a career day.
Enrique, let's talk about tomorrow's match. I think that's the big one in my mind for the weekend. I mean, it's so many different angles to this match. You mentioned that Gustavo Rangel will be covering it. I'm so happy for him. Literally, it's an emotional moment that's building up. I can see the anxiety. I'm going to use that word on all sides, right? This is a battle. This is a war between soccer cultures, the approach to the game, national security. There are fears, literally, of people dying after this match, regardless of the outcome. Try to take us, Enrique, to give it more of a it's just so important to so many people that it goes beyond what the score will or won't be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm gonna take a football angle to it. Borrowing from Carrie Underwood, waiting all day for Sunday night tomorrow, and then Monday Night Football with the U.S. taking on Belgium. Right,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That's
The Heat.
marketing right there, friends.
Look,
Hire Enrique.
so originally, when on paper, when we look at this, and I'm sure England thought, hey, we could be taking on Mexico at Azteca, middle of the day, or whatever the case may be, and it's going to be hot, it's going to be miserable, the altitude. But now it's not going to be hot. Temperature is not going to be an issue. It's going to be maybe 60 degrees and raining by the time the game starts. So now that would be one thing that maybe would not be could not be in favor of Mexico. So now it's all come down to the fitness, the altitude. They've been sort of taking care of themselves, in air conditioned buildings and matches England has. So maybe they're not as worn down as they could have been under any other circumstances in a World Cup for this match. So I mean, if it comes down to just skill, team-wise quality, things even out. Maybe is that enough to cancel out whatever advantage Mexico has playing in front of their home crowd of 80,000 and the level of play that they have maintained. And again, if they can withstand the first 15, 20 minutes, England is Victor. I think it favors the English. If Mexico jumps on them early, look out. I mean, it could really open up for Mexico. And if they can continue with that confidence of not allowing a goal yet, number one, but if they can jump out early and take control of the match, obviously England has enough to come back. In quality they did, and they've shown it. They showed it to us in their last outing. Kane coming back with 2 goals late. But again, I think the key is early. First 20 minutes. Does Mexico score? Or is it an even match at halftime? And now does the pressure start to build against Mexico, knowing that England has the players that it takes to just have an opportunity finish and then see the game out. But to me, the fact that the heat's not going to be an issue is a big plus for England in this game.
Yeah, for me, it's more of they haven't faced anybody like England or Harry Kane yet. You talk about in some of these other games, and I know it's been gradually progressing for Mexico, but this is a team that could potentially score on you first. This is a goal scorer who could be effective. All he needs is the one chance to put it in the back of the net, and then you're a little bit in trouble here. So how's Mexico going to react to that if they're faced with those types of problems, which you have to think they're going to be? Just because of the quality of England, this isn't a team that's going to just back down if the scoreline's 2-0 against their favor. They're going to feel confident on all aspects of the game, including set pieces. Again, Harry Kane, if there's a penalty. So this will be Mexico's biggest test. I don't know if it's as easy as saying Mexico's going to win it because of the home field. I think there is some momentum for Mexico, but I also think it is their bigger test, and I'm curious to see how they react depending on what type of challenge they face here against England.
Victor, we know, Enrique, we know the strategy, right, in Azteca. We know that Mexico's going to come out and press from the first second of that match. They're going to try to get that early goal. Here I do agree with Enrique that if Mexico can get an early goal, the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe let's call it the first 20, 25 minutes, that changes everything. And then England's anxiety is going to increase. The crowd will get involved. But getting an early goal, can they survive that wave, Enrique? Because, England weren't born yesterday. They know exactly what to expect, and I'd be shocked if it didn't go that way. Can they stabilize that initial flurry that's going to come at them, hang in there, and wait for a moment, as Victor mentioned, for one of the superstars, a free kick, a dead ball situation, to turn it around? I think that has to be the strategy and frustrate Mexico in many ways. How else do you approach it at this point, right? It's strategy, and also Mexico can't change what they've been doing. Mexico aren't going to sit back at this point, right? They need to use the altitude, they need to use the crowd, and they need to use their momentum. And defensively, they're riding high. Someone correct me, 0 goals against Mexico, right, Enrique?
Right.
Up to this point. So it's all there for the taking. Will Mexico finally find a way to get, I think, to that next level? And is this that opportunity?
Yeah, in the words of that wise man, Mike Tyson, right? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the nose, and Mexico hasn't
Exactly.
gotten punched in the nose. To their credit, because they haven't
Exactly.
allowed, they've been clean in the back.
Yeah.
But if that happens early, or that happens at any point, if Mexico finds themselves trailing in the second half, 1-0, down a goal, down two, even, I think that's a game set match, right? I think England has the talent and the experience with these type of players that are on the roster to be able to see a match like that through. But so yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for both teams. It should be an evenly matched game. And again, if Mexico pulls it off now, man, Jesus, what can they be capable? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who they play. If it is Brazil in the next round, then you got to say maybe it's just fate. Maybe it is the things coming lining up, all the stars lining up for Mexico or for a CONCACAF team for once in the history of the world, right? That this is going to happen and it's bound to happen. And now, not only do the fans believe, but more importantly, the players believe. And of course, they perform. That if they beat England, it means that now they truly have a side that has the quality to see this tournament through, Victor, and take care of business and bring home the cup. Can you imagine if that were to happen? But if they drop the game tomorrow, but it's a competitive game, then I think you still come out of this tournament saying, "Oh, yes, we have progress. We have some young players that are going to help us develop." But now we'll see. Maybe we'll get to that conversation tomorrow once we see it through. But I think obviously the most important game in the history of Mexican soccer.
Yeah, I think it's one at a time, and if it is Brazil, because we got to see that matchup with Norway, also see what happens there. But I think Mexico feel historically their chances against Brazil are still good, but again, it won't be in the friendly confines of Azteca anymore. And we'll see if, but I mean that's looking ahead. I think tomorrow they still got to focus on England. It's still a very formidable opponent. England will grow if they get a victory here, and they have to like their chances of maybe going far in the tournament, if not win it all. Again, it's not just Harry Kane. Jude Bellingham,
Yeah.
Declan Rice among the names. But we'll see. Mexico has their own guys that they may not be. It may be a mix, right? It may not be Jimenez in his younger years, but there are some things to kind of pick from. I think I was seeing a stat that the England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford is actually the guy that scored more goals against them in England is Raúl Jimenez.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
we'll see if that comes into favor there tomorrow. And again, Quiñones is having a good moment. They got a couple other guys. Fidalgo when he comes off the bench. I mean, so it's an interesting matchup. And I think again, all the storylines and everything, the extra off the field stuff, might make this. No disrespect to Argentina, Cabo Verde, but this one may be one that we look back on. As far as the entire tournament, as maybe the most entertaining, the best matchup. And I know sometimes maybe they don't live up to it, but we'll see tomorrow. Hopefully, it is.
And also with Gilberto Mora, the young 17-year-old. What is this going to be his moment?
Right.
This moment in his career, so early in his career, he's shown so much potential, so much ability. I would imagine if Mexico does pull off the win tomorrow, he's going to have a hand in it. And is that going to kick off a special career, special young man? He's just starting out now, but when you do it in the World Cup, it just reaches you to new levels. I mean, Messi had his moment, has his beginning, just like Mbappe did. Are we going to be talking 4 or 5, 8 years from now about, hey, remember when Mora came off the bench or started against England and got this kicked off this run for Mexico, turning them into the world power that they are now? I mean, it's exciting to think that Mexico has that opportunity at their feet, and it's tomorrow, and we're going to have a chance to enjoy it at 6 o'clock, rain or shine, lightning storms or not. That's what this cup's about.
It's happening locally, friends. We're showing you some.
It might get pushed back again just so we can sell some more beer.
They're going to squeeze it. It's must see, even if you're the casual fan. By the way, tomorrow, Noche de Mexico at Shell Energy Stadium, a celebration that's not going to not only include, of course, the main event, which will be the match between Mexico and England. It's also going to have a Dynamo Dos or Dynamo 2, which is the second team playing against, I believe, Minnesota. That game starting at 3:30 Central Time, so a few hours before the Mexico-England match. And also tomorrow, you're going to have two players. Victor, help me out here. Hector Herrera,
Yeah, Hector Herrera and
who's
Matthew
Matthew Arana.
Arana.
Matthew Arana involved. Back to our comments regarding the marketing, the selling of this. I expect, Enrique, a sold out Shell Energy for this. There's no tickets. I believe entry is free, and someone can beat me up about that if I get that wrong.
So
Yeah,
so you said that the Dynamo 2 game will kick off at what time?
3:30.
At 3:30. So 30 minutes after Brazil kicks off.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Local time, the Brazil-Norway match is scheduled for 3:00. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
That's good.
no, but someone, Enrique, there's some synergy here. I'm looking at the glass half full. You're not even looking at the
Okay.
glass with having
I
any
mean,
liquid in it.
that game could have been played at any point, right? Why not smooth it over so that there's more attention paid to that?
So viewing party for both, a match in between, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. You're thinking, you're marketing, but this again, Victor, is part of what we are seeing now at Shell Energy. We are seeing the passion for it, the support for it, and the opportunities. But before we go, gentlemen, let's switch over, of course, quickly to the USA, because that's coming up. So far, 4 matches. Enrique, with Mexico tomorrow, yes, you said this could change CONCACAF in so many ways that they beat England, regardless of likely Brazil being next. Victor, I'll start with you. USA on that trajectory as well. Like Enrique Vasquez mentioned, are the stars aligning for both teams? And is this that moment for this part of the world?
Well, I think it's been building. There's different factors, and obviously being host is one of them, having that crowd behind you. The way they've gotten these results, I mean, each game obviously has their story, and the one for Bosnia here was that red card and how they got through that game and saw it out. But now they got a different challenge here. They got Belgium again, with the storyline of that 2014 team that, Howard had all those amazing saves, and the U.S. still couldn't beat him, right? So now does the U.S. have, I think now the U.S. has a talented enough squad to beat him. But we'll see if they can put that on the field. If Belgium all of a sudden here has, flipped the switch. And again, everybody's going to, a lot of it's going to have to do with how these games develop. They could both be eliminated in this round, U.S. and Mexico, but the way they go out would have a lot to do with how people perceive this as a success or not. There's going to be plenty of people to think they probably should have gotten one further, and I think if both of these get one further, then I think at that point they're probably playing with house money in anybody's eyes.
You know what's coming next, Enrique Vasquez. Let's walk through your predictions here. Tomorrow, upper right-hand side of the draw, at least for our bracket here. Let's take Brazil and Norway first. Who you got there?
Well, I mean, logic would tend to say it's Brazil, right? They're going to come through. For the Mexico-England game, the heart wants to say Mexico. The reason what made it want to say England, man, I'm going to go with Mexico with a win.
Wow.
to pull it off at Azteca in a tightly fought match. I don't know that it goes to PKs. I think it's going to be a regulation type match. The Mexico is going to pull off the biggest win in their history, and all of a sudden, yes, Hermo, like
It's on.
The commercial, yeah, it's on.
It's on. Victor, same question, and then I'll give you, nobody's asked me, but I'll ask myself what I'm thinking of those matches. How do you see the bracket on that side, Victor?
Yeah, I think I also think Mexico finds a way tomorrow to get this result. I don't know how easy it'll be, but I think they find a way to go through, and then the same thing. I think USA probably finds a way to beat Belgium. They should have enough in the tank, enough with their squad. So we got a couple of good matchups tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. So we'll see how these things end up being.
Victor, forgive me. What about Brazil, Norway? You got Brazil?
I'm gonna. That's
Upset
a
alert.
tough one because I think you have Holland, and I don't know if Brazil's necessarily been too convincing. And again, Norway might be a team that's a dark horse. That's kind of I'm I want to give them the edge. I want to say Norway, but I guess I have to go Brazil just because of the history and the culture and the fan base.
I think I didn't ask Enrique about USA, but I'll ask myself, Alex, what do you think? I do think Brazil goes through, and again, another tight, interesting matchup. Then El Plato Fuerte, the main course tomorrow night. I'm a believer, Enrique. I think Mexico finds a way, especially at Azteca. Everything would have to just go wrong.
And I must confess, I think that's more of a fan, being a fan
Than an objective, yeah.
Than an objective. Yeah, I want to say that the wave they're riding now, the energy that's going to be in that building, and just the moment is gonna be what pushes them through. But England has a great team, great players. But yeah, let's see if they can pull it off. And then on the U.S., between Pepe, Weah, and Wright. Who comes off the bench? Are they going to be a key in this, or is it going to be a Pulisic just taking the team and bringing it forward and getting the win?
Great question. I still think Ricardo Pepi, to me, is waiting for his moment, and this might be it on the largest stage and the most important, again, match in potentially the history of U.S. men's soccer. Pulisic, I think now. Again, he's coming back, if you will, from a near injury that kept him out. So it's building. I am, and tomorrow, well, by Tuesday, we'll know if we're right or wrong on any of this. The USA and Mexico can continue going at least one more round, and that builds them up. But you know what? The test that Mexico needs, Enrique, will come tomorrow. If they can pass that test, if they can win, it's going to only build. United States, I feel the same way. Some of the waves now of teams that are going through it themselves too because of the mental wear, the travel, the all of the elements related to whether or not you start seeing that maybe mentality and confidence might be the most important thing. So I do see United States, Mexico going through, but these are exciting times. We've got to wrap up, gentlemen, because they're telling me we are way over, so someone's going to get mad at us. Before we go, though, Enrique, any words to kind of close out the show and maybe relative to what we're celebrating today, the 4th of July?
No, yeah, hopefully everybody is safe. If you're at home doing fireworks, keep all your digits, keep all your fingers, be careful. If you can't, just go to let the professionals take care of it and just sit back and enjoy it. But happy birthday, America. Thanks for welcoming us, people from other countries, onto your land and giving us the opportunity that now we enjoy, and it doesn't go. We don't take it for granted. I don't. And thank you, United States. Glad that in 1776 the U.S. did beat England, and now we're here.
Here we go. He connected the dots. Victor Araiza. I like the way he did that, putting down the English monarchy. I like that. Victor, some closing words for you, sir, on this 4th of July and on the eve of a huge match tomorrow at Azteca.
Yeah, obviously, I just similar sentiments, and obviously also want to thank everybody that's followed us through this marathon of a tournament, and obviously we're getting further and further into some of these great matchups. Obviously, tomorrow's going to be one of them with Mexico and England, and again, let's hope that theme of this not being, a good part of the calendar for the English continues tomorrow against Mexico.
We will see what happens. Friends, it's great to have all of you with us. We appreciate taking the time. We're coming on at different hours, but you finding us, you following us, whether it be on X, on Facebook, or on YouTube, the Portas Nation, we're here and we'll continue the coverage. We plan to be on after tomorrow's Mexico match. I know that. So we will have plenty to talk about, and whether or not we were wizards with our magic crystal ball. We don't know yet.
Yeah, Victor, Alex said if Mexico pulls off the win, he's going to get the sarape and the sombrero out. And we're going to just bring the tequila.
Yes.
He might just have us do a road show at a local Mexican restaurant.
We will. Can you imagine being there at the viewing party? Someone should have thought it. See, we're not marketing enough. We're not marketing enough for the show.
Cielito lindo and all that.
All of that. Before we go, friends, thanks to our production staff who were working hard. Katie Omania, who has been covering games not only in Houston but in Arlington. She's amazing, Grant, for putting together. And I think we got most of the graphics done correctly today. So his beatings won't be too bad. But we appreciate him working hard. And also, Victor and Enrique, you guys are amazing. Thank you for your analysis, for your professionalism and how you cover this. I'm in awe. And Enrique, how do we follow Gustavo Rangel? What a great story. I didn't know about it, but man, it'd be great to follow his coverage tomorrow.
Yeah, it's through La Opinión, based out of Los Angeles. They hired him out. He used to write for them when they still had a bureau here in Houston, since, of course, they shut down over the last couple of years. But they hired him out to cover the games here in Houston. He also went up to Dallas to cover some games as well. But now, apparently, he's going to be at Azteca tomorrow covering the match. So at La Opinión or at Gustavo Rangel on X, you can find him there as well. So, yeah, good luck to him. I was just about to text him just to wish him luck. As a journalist, we get to do some of the coolest things. Oh, yeah. And I can't believe they pay us for it. And so he's going to have a great time, regardless. Maybe hopefully he's not lamenting a loss for Mexico, but either way, he's going to be in the building. I'll be there with him, and I'm excited for him. And then we'll have plenty to talk about when he gets back and when we get back on the road with the Texans.
A comment and a question, Enrique. What am I trying to say? Send him our love. Let him know we are behind him. And second, you mentioned something about pay. There's pay involved in this business.
There you go.
I wasn't quite sure about any of that, but okay. I'm glad he's getting paid. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm very jealous of him. Anyway, I'm joking. We are blessed to do this, and we do appreciate all the success he has is our success. So, Gustavo Rangel, we're with you, and congratulations. And friends, get ready tomorrow. Partidazo, as we say in Spanish. I don't know where balloons are coming from in our shot, but somewhere
for
there's
America. Happy birthday, America.
That's what it is. Thank you. You see, someone's thinking. Happy 4th of July, friends. We appreciate all of you. Enrique, thank you. Victor, thank you. Friends, at the end of the day, thank you for following us, for making us part of your day. A lot more yet to come. Have a great evening. Be safe. Enjoy the 4th of July. Good night.